On this week's Political Figure episode, we've got the new King of Canada, Mark Carney. No, he's not actually a king, but it was like alliterative and I liked it, so I went with it. Also, full transparency, these videos are super research intensive and my brain's been a little fried lately, so I was like, hey, people use ChatGPT and stuff to help them with this kind of thing all the time, and I was gonna try that. And I'll tell you right now, you're never gonna need to worry about me using AI to write video scripts because it's bad. First, I was like, hey, write me a script about Mark Carney in the style of Offjawagon's Political Figure videos. And it felt the need to describe my voice in the script, and it described it as nasally, which was a little offensive. And then the opening line of the script was, yo, what's crackin', you political junkies. So yeah, me and ChatGPT, not gonna work out. I'm a lot less worried about Skynet now, too. So Mark Carney was born in Fort Smith, Northwest Territories on March 16th, 1965. Grew up in Edmonton, Alberta, and the way that Canadians talk about Alberta, I feel like that's the Kansas of Canada, but I have no idea. Mark would graduate from St. Francis Xavier High School in 1983 before going on to Harvard to earn his bachelor's in economics. That shit wasn't prestigious enough. He then went across the pond to get his master's and doctorate in economics from fucking Oxford. Now I'm all self-conscious about my nasally voice. Fucking AI. After Oxford, he went to work for Goldman Sachs for 13 years doing bigwig international banking shit, which honestly, from an outside perspective, sort of a tick against, you know, bigwig Goldman Sachs execs, generally not men of the people. But credit where it's due, he has at least paid lip service to the right things. He supported the Occupy Wall Street movement, saying it was constructive and their criticisms were completely valid. He's talked about pay gap problems between CEOs and workers, specifically in the United States, because, you know, we suck. Slightly more populist rhetoric than what you'd expect from a Goldman Sachs exec. In 2003, though, he left Goldman Sachs to become deputy governor of the Bank of Canada. In 2008, he became governor of the Bank of Canada, you know, just in time for the largest global financial crisis of our lifetime. At least so far, because, you know, Donald Trump is all about breaking records. It is a tad ironic that he was a major player in one of the major institutions responsible for that global economic crisis. But it is said that his actions as governor of the Bank of Canada during the financial crisis actually saved Canada from experiencing the worst of the crisis. During this time, Carney was also members and chairmen of all kinds of international finance and banking boards and shit. He submitted reports outlining 29 banks he felt were too big to fail and that they should be broken up because they posed a risk to the global economy. So far, the dude seems to have generally been doing the right shit considering the positions he was in. And then in 2013, Carney was appointed to be the governor of the Bank of England. I don't do a very good British accent. I don't know why I tried. He served as governor of the Bank of England until 2020 and doing what also seemed like mostly good stuff, addressing housing affordability rates in the UK, adding transparency to interest rate meetings, telling people who wanted to do the Brexit thing that they were idiots, at least economically. Sounds like he increased banking regulations and interest rate regulations, some of it maybe a little too much where they became overburdensome and confusing. But all in all, seems like he did a good job as governor of the Bank of England. After leaving the Bank of England, he did like all of the things. He started task forces to help fight climate change through carbon offsets and stuff. He helped launch the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero. He was on the board of Stripe. I think he was on Bloomberg's board for a bit. Sponsored the Institute for International Finance. And in 2024, he became the special advisor for the Liberal Task Force on Economic Growth. There is no amount of Adderall in my life I could take to keep up with this man's schedule. Like, his day planner, just looking at it, would give me severe anxiety. Well, he was governors of banks and shit. He got offers from both the Liberal and Conservative parties to either serve on board positions in their governments or run for positions of leadership in their governments. And he declined on multiple occasions, saying he felt it would be inappropriate to go directly from being on the board of a bank or the governor of a bank directly into politics. So again, still passing the ethics smell test. His first real step into politics was when he was appointed in 2020 as the United Nations Special Envoy for Finance and Climate Change. You've heard it all before, people's humble beginnings getting into politics, you know, city council or zoning board or special envoy to the United Nations. And in 2025, after never having done any actual like public elections as far as I can tell, he just rolled up and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna run to be leader of the Liberal Party. And then he just went and won that election with like 85% of the vote on the very first ballot. 5 days after that, just a couple days ago, the Liberal Party won the majority in Parliament. And because Canadians don't vote for their prime minister, they just vote for their party, and their party's leader becomes prime minister. Carney's now prime minister. Also, Canada doesn't fuck around with that you're elected on one day and then sometime the next year you're inaugurated or sworn into office or whatever. No, it's like same day shit, basically. So yeah, anyway, basically the dude just strolled into being prime minister out of nowhere. But you know what? That might not be a bad thing. He seems to usually take the ethical high road. He doesn't seem to be tainted by politics. He seems incredibly competent and measured. He understands economics and realizes that tariffing shit probably isn't usually a good idea. Seems like he'll be excellent, stable leadership, which, you know, makes me feel a lot better as he's leading the country that's closest to us. We need our neighbors to be run by reasonable, stable people, because our very stable genius running our country is anything but. So sorry, Canada, that we're making it so you have to be the adults on the continent, but I'm glad you are. And I love Canada. This election victory shows that Donald Trump is so insanely unpopular that now he's losing elections in countries he's not even fucking from. Because, like, just in November, the Conservative Party in Canada was wildly popular and all but guaranteed to win. And just a few months of Donald Trump doing Donald Trump shit, and Canada's like, whoa, we need to reassess. And the Conservative Party popularity fucking plummeted. So good on you guys. And also, we still want to be adopted, you know, if you're looking for an extra child. Please.